Welcome back to Keeping It Real. First show of the year here. I have my good friend Gary Nuska is with us, who's brought in a special guest, Dave Sohol. Dave, welcome to the show. Gary, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
2013. Gary, big plans for the year. What's on the agenda for the year?
Well, we've got some exciting plans. As you know, at the end part of last year, we had a new server come online, which literally, although we say it's the fastest service, you might be able to match the speed of the server, because a lot of people sitting with their Blackberries and their iPhones and all of these devices all around the world, when they click on things, they would like instant information. And so now these new servers that we have are kind of doing that.
Very fast.
That was 6 months. We had 62,000 connections to connect to get everything working properly again. Over 18,000 pages on the internet doing various things, tens of thousands of people viewing information daily with not a slowdown, and thousands of pieces of email being sent out to the industry absolutely free. People can subscribe to receive the new listings for their area, whether it be in Florida, Ontario, British Columbia, California, you name it.
And that's through your existing
That's
website?
through ICI World. And
ICIWorld.net.
ICIWorld.net, which is basically designed for members. Now, for the public that's watching this, we have a new domain name, and it's I'm just announcing it now. This is the beginning of the year,
Get ready,
2013.
folks. Hold on.
2013, and we can say people can guess the price of this domain name from $1,000 to $20,000.
Between $1,000 and $20,000.
Here we go. It's
$20,000.
www.worldrealestatenetwork.com.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, we've got it pointed at the moment to our old website.
Okay, all right.
However, the design contract has been let out to have the website redesigned. We have a graphic artist and we have technical people that are now working on designing this. So hopefully by the end of March, 1st of April, we're going to have something nice to kind of show, and it'll be a lot more intuitive than what it already is.
Right. And when are we going to launch ICIWorld.tv?
I'm going to say in our
on the
next
edge of my
session,
seat.
you know,
waiting for that.
You've invited us to do these TV shows basically once a month. And so I'm not going to let everything out of the wraps all in one show.
Okay. Well, we're
going to kind of come out over the next 3, 4, 5 months, and we'll show you all the new developments that are happening.
All right. Well, we're making a lot of progress, so I think that's terrific. And Dave is in the house. Dave Sohol. He's a private financing specialist. His company is Centum SRF Financial. Welcome, Dave. It's good to have you join us here today. Now, I know that we're all AMPs, accredited mortgage professionals. There's a lot of mortgage power at this table. You think if somebody's looking for a mortgage, between one of us, hopefully we could find the mortgage.
We can get it.
But you brought in Dave today because he's arranged a number of deals, which he's I guess they were originated on ICIWorld.net.
There's a number of different things. Dave's done a number of deals on ICI World. He's also been doing mortgage financing. And Dave's with SRF Financial, and he's also a mortgage broker and a real estate broker as well. I happen to be registered with them, and as people know, I actually do not do real estate transactions, but I do mortgages. I keep in touch with the business for information purposes. And you're a mortgage broker as well.
Yes.
And so the reason I brought David here today is because I say to David, what are some of the things that you do different from, say, maybe all the other 1,000 mortgage brokers in the industry? And we're going to cover some of those things that not just David, but other brokers, mortgage brokers can do, and why people should call a mortgage broker, and if they have a chance to choose an AMP, which stands for Accredited Mortgage Professional. They've gone to a different level of expertise to learn the business, to be fair with people. They're licensed in Canada, so you know you're getting treated fairly, hopefully all the way down the line.
Right.
But when it comes to, most brokers can provide mortgages at banks. And a lot of mortgage brokers can do a little bit of rates and terms than banks.
Right.
And so before you make your decision to maybe go with your own bank, which is a good feeling of safety, a lot of the mortgage brokers are using the chartered banks as well. But because they have a choice of 35 or 40 or even up to 100 different banks have extra money sometimes, and all of a sudden they'll lower the rate for a while to get rid of that money. that becomes an advantage to you. Whereas if you go to your own bank's only going to push their own bank's mortgages. And so when you
True.
buy things, isn't it wise to maybe consider 1, 2, or 3 different sources?
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure, and I think that's great. And you were mentioning that Dave has closed a number of unique transactions recently on gas stations and other types of businesses.
And Dave's going to fill us in, and I'd like to turn to you, David, and talk about some of these transactions that we've talked to you about, and access to private financing and how it helped. How some people who maybe want to do deals out there's up and coming young entrepreneurs with great credit ratings, they want to maybe do deals, but the bank turns them down for legitimate reasons because they don't cover that kind of thing. And if you could compare, David, why people used you, the rates that they paid in some cases are a little higher, in some cases are actually lower. You'll see as we go along. When the rates are higher, it's because they get an opportunity to do a deal that they couldn't otherwise. And I'm going to start with maybe this gas station that somebody purchased for $1 million, for
That's
instance.
right.
And could you tell us what their problem was before they got the mortgage from you?
Well, first thing is when someone buys a gas station, the first problem is the environmental. And because of the environmental issues, banks don't touch that. You know, even if you want to get 30% loan to value, banks don't even want to look at gas stations. So where private, you know, they look at the income from the gas station, the location, and I was fortunate enough to get 65% on that gas station, loan to value.
So this was a deal that the bank didn't want to
Banks
touch.
didn't want to touch it.
Any particular reason?
Because of the environment, there was little issues
Right.
As far as environmental report goes, but basically because of the environmental, banks didn't want to touch it. So we went to a private lender, got the mortgage done, got the deal done, and a year later, he's cleaned up those issues they had for environmental, and now got the mortgage from a bank.
I
actually.
see. Very good.
So there's a case where somebody it was a $1 million property. They had $200,000 down payment. Now these people are really buying a job. There's people coming in from overseas to Canada and to the United States and other places, and they want to have a business for their family.
Right.
And they have trouble getting money. But if you speak to SRF Financial, for instance, they can show you how they can do it. Now, in this case, the mortgage was at 9%. Now, it might seem higher than normal, but in terms of business, if you can borrow money at 9% that allows you to make a living and make $100,000 or
Sure.
$200,000, $300,000 a year, it's worth it.
Right.
And so in this case, it helped. Now, they got a 65% mortgage, $650,000. They only had $200,000 down. And I understand that they asked the owner to take back a mortgage for
That's right.
$150,000.
That's right.
And they took it back at 5% for 3 years with a right of set-off. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, I want to mention something about the 9%. By the way, after they cleaned up the gas station, it got appraised for $1.7 million. So that
Wow.
9% didn't mean nothing. You know, they not only did they get all of their mortgage, they got all of their down payment out of it when they redid the mortgage with
Yeah,
the bank.
so they paid a few extra bucks over the year, and then they made hundreds
Exactly.
of thousands of dollars.
So all of the audience that's listening to this, whether it be mortgage brokers and salespeople, whether it be principals who are looking to buy properties, there's a time and a place where you can use these kind of levers in the business to help you create wealth in real estate.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good. Well, I know banks. You know, they are they're too strict sometimes. They have blinders on. So we frequently see that. In
It's
the commercial
interesting what Gary just said.
areas.
We had a person in the office. He's new to real estate as an agent, and he asked Gary. He says, "Gary, how can I make money?" Gary's answer was, "How did most of the rich people got richer in this world?" And he said, "Real estate, buying real estate." He goes, "There you go, kid. Start buying real estate." So
There you go.
There you go. Another one you had was a variety store and a home.
right.
And that one was a $320,000 property with $100,000 down, and they couldn't get the mortgage from the bank. Again, for the reason no books, or the books didn't show very good for some reason.
Exactly. Like as you know, variety stores, they don't show any income whatsoever. Plus the property was a little run down, and we got him a private mortgage for the first mortgage for $220,000. with $100,000 down, and guy kept his business. Now he'll renovate the house and the variety store because now he owns it instead of renting the place.
And are these open mortgages as well?
All private mortgages are most of the time open with only 1 month.
Think about it, people. That's terrific. Open with 1 month.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, because if you go to banks right now, they're kind of closed. They might let you out with 3 months payments, those
Right.
kind of things. And some of them are closed. They don't
Yeah.
even want to let them out.
Well, especially in a case where, if there is an issue with a property, like the gas station, for example, it needed a cleanup. So once you have it cleaned up, bam, you can go to refinance at a bank at a lower rate without much penalty.
Now, I got some other good news here that Dave is bringing today. Let's talk about how to get better rates than the banks. One way is if you have 50% down, the best rate today is what, around 2.79?
For 3 years,
Yeah.
2.79?
2.7.
Whether it be a variable or, around the 2.79. For 2.5%, would you like a mortgage in Canada for 2.5%?
I'll take 2 of them.
There you go. If you have 50% down,
Yes.
you can do it through David.
Totally private.
Private money, totally
Private
open.
money.
Private money,
Wow.
Totally open.
but it has to be a residential mortgage, 50% loan to value.
50% loan to value.
So you see that there's a lot of people.
That's
the prob-
amazing.
The problem today, of course, is a lot of people have money that's sitting in the bank on bonds and, maybe these certificates, and they're getting 1% in the bank or maybe 2.
Right.
You can see that there's a form. If you have money to lend, you should also give us a call, and then we can show you opportunities that are in the marketplace out there for your money.
Yeah, like this gas station that you get a 9% return on your money. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than investing in mortgages. Real estate's great too. Dave is still here from U.S. Property. Don't get me wrong, but as a mortgage broker, I'm a little biased, and it's a more conservative investment than the real estate as well.
Now, here's another one. You were telling me, David, about 2 gentlemen who had terrific credit ratings and that you were able to do 100% financing. We're not trying to be the people that do all these 100% deals all around the world, but 100% financing is possible. It's possible, but if you can lever it by, attaching more than one property, sometimes you
Right.
can do that. In this particular case, there was a vacant building. A bank's going to lend money on a vacant building? I don't think so.
Not likely.
Not likely, especially if it needs a lot of work. In this case, can you tell us how that went about?
See, what happens, Gary, remember what we talked about, most of the people made their money in real estate, so they understand real estate. Private investors understand real estate more than actually what the bankers do. What happened was, this particular property was bought for $200,000. It was a really, really good deal. Like, the property was probably worth over $300,000. So when the private lender looked at it and he goes, God, I'll give him the $200,000 if he's going to do the renovation, because he looked at the property. If the guy doesn't make it, he'll take that property back. So right away he gave him 100% financing.
Wow.
At 8%, and he goes, here you go, kid, renovate it.
Now, that sounds pretty easy, but in actual fact, he knew
Most
the
of the
track record of the buyer, didn't he?
Most of the private lenders know real estate inside out. That's why they don't care about the income. They don't care about what the returns on the property is. They look at the real estate and real estate only.
Yeah, it's so important to have a good connection and a good
Well, of
mortgage
course.
broker like yourself, Dave, because banks, the property could be somebody could be buying it for well under what it's worth, but they don't care. They'll say, we're lending on the purchase price,
That's
no
right.
imagination or creativity, that's it. Whereas you can see if you have a good mortgage broker, a good private lender, you see, this is a no-brainer.
We had another situation, and by the way, people can call either Dave or myself for mortgaging. I do mortgaging on this service, and then
Or
package
David.
it. And one of them was a $2 million shopping center, and the person that was buying it had $1 million down, and they couldn't get the mortgage at the bank because the income wasn't there.
Right. Common scenario.
Okay, so there's people that literally within an hour of talking to them, they're happy to give a commitment on something like that, subject to due diligence. And those are the kind of things that can be done very, very quickly sometimes. So if people have a deal and they're having trouble with financing, you haven't tried all your avenues yet until you've tried these sources right here.
Yeah, yeah, you've got to check with a mortgage broker for sure. And as a real estate agent too, if you want to find more opportunities, you know, it's good to have a mortgage broker as a good friend, because you'll find out that there are things that can be done that people may not know about.
Exactly.
If they've only talked to their banks. So
And so, you know, some people, I use the statement, and this is going to be a lead into this next section of our session today, and that is that sometimes people are missing doing deals and they don't realize it. And so sometimes they don't realize it, but now when you listen to this program, you're going to start to find out that there's other things that you can be doing. And some of the examples, here's another example. Dave has also done some deals on ICI World. I didn't realize it as much how many he had done until I actually talked to him just coming up to this show. And I'd like if you could share with us maybe a couple of the deals that you've done. You mentioned a couple of them. There was one in Stony Creek, for instance, that you had done. Could you tell us a little bit about that, how that came about? And that was the 3 acres for 1.1 million or something. It was a London broker saw it on...
the London broker saw it on the ICI. By the way, I've been an ICI member from day one. Gary and I go way back when Gary had his own real estate company. When he started this ICI World, he's probably talked to, you know, we talked to one another, and he went and started this ICI World, and I was probably one of the first or second member on ICI World, and it's been great. Anyways, this particular property in Stony Creek, I put it on ICI World. Within few days, a London broker saw it and brought me an offer for full price, and we did a deal.
That was, what, a $1.1 million transaction?
Yeah,
Who were the people that bought it? Was it a landscaping company or something?
Building contract, buildings, material, you know, and landscaping material.
Okay, and then you had another one. You do some automotive things. Tell us some of the sales you've had with automotive.
Truck dealership in Burlington. Listed, same thing.
You got the listing. How did you get the listing?
I was going through ICI World looking at who the brokers are that do automotive sales and this and that, and he found me, called me. I listed the place.
What do you mean you listed? Another broker called you?
No. He called because he was looking for a real estate broker that sells automotive properties.
I see.
And I guess he saw me through ICI World and called me up and I listed the property and then sold it.
I see. Okay, very good. And you do automotive type work a lot. Is that the idea?
Gas stations. I've been doing commercial real estate, you know, for 27 years. Gas stations, repair facilities. A lot of logistic companies, you know, that I deal with.
Plazas today, just to get an idea, we're talking here when we say some of these rates were on January the 9th or 10th of 2013. To do a plaza, say a $1 million plaza, basically 65% financing nowadays. Okay, at around 5 1/4. Does that sound about same as what you do, David?
That's very good.
Okay, apartment buildings. 75% financing with no CMHC. If you need CMHC, up to 85%, around 3 1/4% financing. Something
That's pretty awesome.
That's what it seems to be roughly today. And you had another transaction where with TD, somebody had a choice to get a $300,000 mortgage from TD for 2.99. You did it at 3.01. And the reason they chose you was?
Because a lot of people, you know, they go for these mortgage rates. Sometimes mortgage rates aren't the best thing. You got to look at the other provisions in the mortgage as far as prepayment penalty. Let's say if they get money after a year or so, they want to pay more than 20%, you know. So I took them to a credit union, and got it at 3.09, which worked out to about $6 more a month, but they got better provisions as far as prepayment penalty, and if they sell the place, the penalties were less than what TD would have charged.
Right.
You know, so having that flexibility can be quite important. And now some of these credit unions that you deal with that have these better rates, people should understand that these are licensed. These are fall as you want to explain about that. They're right up there with the chartered banks.
Oh no,
in
they're
terms
just
of-
like the charter bank. They've got, I mean, from a legal point of view, it's exactly like the
Credible institution.
credible
Sure.
institutions.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today. And it just so happens, I know right now you have a major food franchise that's looking for 20 locations, for instance.
That's right.
What kind of locations do you want to explain about that?
It's a fast food store. They're looking for locations anywhere from Ottawa to Windsor. If anybody has it, please give me a call. And
Okay, we should explain a little bit about that. Basically, they're looking for places to lease existing facilities that could be a fast food place where they can redesign it.
they can redesign into their liking.
rather
So-
than building from scratch from ground up.
Exactly.
So locations where maybe a fast food, there's over 20 locations. So here's a want now for different things. A lot of people are kind of forgetting about their wants, you know. Half the industry is the buyers and not many places carry wants. And on ICI World, that's one of the things we do. You can go there and see the wants for Florida, for California, for British Columbia, for Toronto. And I'm suggesting that all licensed real estate brokers and salespeople in the world should consider posting their wants on ICI World. Some of the largest transactions have started from a want. The $175 million building in Toronto got sold starting from a want. So a mortgage broker actually spotted it and had a seller who wanted to sell their 3 office buildings and called her up, and they ended up doing a transaction. So if you're sitting with this information, here you have these services on the internet. ICI World is just one of them. There's other ones out there. Why not try some of these services to try to connect to do deals?
Yeah. Well, I can also personally say, because I signed up myself.
You mentioned that in the
last month,
session.
and honest to God, the next day I got this amazing deal. I got a call, $3 million deal. We closed it before the new year. So
Isn't that fantastic?
I don't think I've ever closed a deal that size that quickly. So
Well, I couldn't ask for a better
ICIworld.net.
testimonial, and that's
It
just
works.
great. And
People have to check it out.
we have that testimonial, but there's a lot of others. And to be quite honest, there's a whole wealth of connections of things that are not listed on real estate boards. And I'm so excited about that. I wish I could have everybody get on it before the day I die someday, because we all have limited lifetimes here on the planet Earth. But within organizations, whether it's real estate associations and companies, one of the new things we're doing this year is coming up with the ability to license a real estate association to have all of their members' network information, not just listings. And because a lot of times things are confidential, restaurants are confidential, people don't
Right.
want them all over the internet, but there's a special way to kind of network that kind of information out there. And as brokers start to learn this, I think it should be sort of embraced by real estate boards, association, companies, the major franchises, all those kind of things.
Okay, now Gary, you for a tip today, you had something, because every time you come in, you have one tip,
Yes,
a computer-related tip.
yes.
For the real estate agents,
Yes.
or whoever's watching, and
Yes.
we're gonna take people today. We have this website. This is a speed test.
Right, and what I'm finding is because we do a lot of webinars worldwide where we can host you and be a speaker, and we can host other speakers that you've had here worldwide, I've been finding that some people have trouble sometimes using their computer on the internet. And they're struggling, and they wonder what's going on. And I'm sure it's frustrating for people when they can't get these results that they want. And part of the reason could be that their internet service provider, the connection itself, is kind of slow. So I'm going to show you how you can measure the speed on your computer by going to a special service called www.speedtest.net, and we're going to show that on the screen
Okay,
right
so
now.
we're here now. So I'm going to
Now,
click
the
on
key
the
thing
begin
here,
test.
just before you click
Yeah.
on it, there's going to be some other offers to speed up your computer from this site.
Okay,
And I'm
sure.
not suggesting that you do anything else on this site except the speed test.
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to give you some baselines that I think everyone should have minimum to use on the internet, or you're just struggling, and all you have to do, people, is pick up the phone and call your local internet service provider.
Right.
And when you do that, you can ask them, listen, can I get a little faster speed? And sometimes they can triple and quadruple the speed for free. Sometimes it's $5 a month
Yeah,
more.
it's not a lot.
It's ridiculously cheap, and all of a sudden you start to cruise on the internet, and it becomes a better experience for you. So now, people, you're going to get blown away by the speeds that I'm about to see, because we did this before the show. But I'm going to talk about the average speeds that some people are
Okay, should I
getting.
hit the button?
Not yet. We're going to keep it as a surprise here.
Okay.
But everyone can mark this down, that we believe you should have a minimum of 5 megs download speed. I prefer 15 or better download. 15 megs per second download speed. And upload speed minimum 0.5. I like more than 1. I'm operating myself with 1.5 and above. So I'm getting 15 down. 15 megabytes download, if you're writing this down with a pencil and a piece of paper. 15 megs download is what you want to get, and at least 1 or 1.5 upload. If you can get those speeds, then you're getting a better experience on the internet. Now, David has got special fellas working behind the scenes over here that have got him cruising at speeds faster than I've seen in a while.
Faster than the
Go
speed of
ahead,
light. Are we
click
ready?
the button
All
and
right,
watch
let's
what's
see how
going to
we do
happen
here.
here in terms
Let's
of
hope this
speed.
works.
Bit of drum roll. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go.
Okay, so we're going up. So this is our
This is your download
this is
speed.
our download speed.
What are you up to?
We're up to 15.
Okay, so you're
over
getting the regular 15,
15
that I
meg.
think should be a minimum.
Okay, and now for upload, this is where I think
Upload
we
should
have,
be at least 0.5, 1
this
or
is where
1.5.
we have a little supercharge here. We have just almost 7.
Unbelievable. That's just blowing everything
I
away.
think
That
it costs
I've never seen
me
one.
an extra $15 a month. Or
Okay,
something like
isn't that
to get
amazing? For an
that.
extra $15
Yeah.
a month, when you click a button, you're getting instant response.
Yeah.
Who's your service provider?
It is Bell.
Bell. There you go for Bell. We just there's advertisement. If Bell wants to call us, we'll
advertisement for
help
Bell.
promote that for you, Bell. Give us a call and we'll put it on your website, our website.
We also
And,
wanted to show people something going on with, this is a new service here
Yes,
on
there's-
ICIworld.biz.
There is, and there's thousands of businesses, buyers and sellers for businesses, by the way. If you go to ICIworld.biz, you're going to see the information come up literally within a second because of our new servers
Yes.
and your speed.
Right.
And if you click on one of these, although you might not be able to see the results, click on gas stations,
Okay,
for instance,
gas
just for the sake of
stations.
argument. I want you to see how fast the information is coming up on the screen. You'll see it pop on the screen here.
It's
Bingo.
It's instant. So it's
instant.
hard to read for our viewers, but there's a whole list of gas stations. here
Exactly. Now, you'll notice that I'm holding a BlackBerry right now.
Yes.
If you brought that page up in your BlackBerry, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, whatever device that you have, bingo, you literally have the information at your fingertips. So our goal is to have every licensed real estate person have this information that floats through the industry of buyers and sellers, both MLS and exclusive information. And
So it's everything is friendly with your cell phone. We had David Franklin earlier from U.S. Property Shop. She wanted to show us as well. We went to ICIworld.us.
Let's do it.
We're there. What do we have on ICIworld.us?
Well, again, we have haves and wants throughout the industry. And if you want to click on Florida, just for a sake of argument, because I know we're talking about Florida a little bit, you'll see information come up. And if you click on latest listings first to get an overview of what's going on,
Latest listings.
top left corner
Top
there.
left corner.
Yep.
Okay.
There are other choices on the screen.
Okay, so again, they come up instantly.
Again, you'll see them coming up just in simple order, and they're categorized in different ways otherwise, but click on any one of them and you can see the kind of information, the context that you can make. And if you've got properties in Florida, you should be placing them on here for the public to see. And the nice thing about it is, over time, more and more people are going to learn about this. And we only allow licensed real estate brokers and salespeople to join the service, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you get good, clean, competent information. If you notice, there's no flashy ads coming across the screen that can bother you. And it's from competent professionals in the business, you know, so and that kind of helps. There is a free spot for the public to post information free, but only the member brokers can see that information.
Right.
But if you have any kind of information that you want to sell or market, any kind of property, contact one of the members on the service or get your own broker to kind of join the service as well.
Well, as always, very informative, Gary. That's all the time we have, though, unfortunately, for today. But thank you both very much for coming.
you.
Appreciate it. Gary Neska, ICIWorld.net, and, of course, Dave Sohol from Centum, SRF Financial at srffinancial.com. Pleasure having you guys here. That's all for today's show. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm David Grossman. We'll see you soon on Keeping It Real on All Talk TV Network.